this section. No good. Maybe leave my mic on. Hello and welcome to another Retro Crazy. This is a FamiCom. You might have seen it already because I've just finished a video where I recapped it, cleaned it, did a composite mod so that I get a nice display on the TV. So you're probably asking, what the hell's this thing doing back? Well, this is the FamiCom, the family computer. And Nintendo released this as the NES in Europe and the US, but it wasn't a one-trick pony. This, from Japan, had a whole batch of stuff that we really never saw. So what am I talking about? Well, you are used to seeing game cartridges like this one, which turns out to be some weird pool, sort of 9-ball variant. And it's a top loader, so in it goes, you know, down, switch on, away you go. But what have I said? That's not all it did. What have I said? They released games that were also on disc. A Nintendo that ran on discs. So what on earth does that look like? Well, it looks like this. You have your disk system module, which goes in, and that disk system module plugs into a disk drive. Yep, an actual disk drive for the Nintendo. And that would sit normally underneath, like so. This plugs in the back, power, and then you can literally take your discs and your discs insert in the front, like so. And then you would be able to load your games. Now, you will see these actually have recesses, and that's part of their copyright system. Not very good, to be quite honest. But on the inside of the drive, there are the matching sections, and if those don't exist, it won't drop down, therefore it won't run. But yeah, you could actually get your games like this. Now, I do own a couple of these and a couple of the disk drives, but I've never tried running one. So let's look at stripping this apart, giving it a good cleaning service, and finding out, can I actually load a game onto the FamiCom from disk? So here we are, we've got both the HVC023, which is the adapter for the disk system, and we've got the disk drive itself. I'll need to look at both because, you know me, caps need to be replaced. This is going to be the first thing I look at. Still got its warranty seal. After that, we'll look at the drive, and again, still has its warranty seal. Interestingly, do you want to run it off batteries? Not quite sure why this would be battery. I mean, did they plan on doing a portable FamiCom? So we'll look at that second, and one of the things that I do want to do with this is replace the belts. And to be honest, these new belts that you get are kind of like glass noodles. They're just weird, but they're flexible and they're supposed to work, so we'll look at those. But at the moment, we're going to pop this to the side and we're going to look at this. So the adapter itself looks like it's held in with 4 screws, and there is a port on the back. I'm not quite sure what it was used for. 5-pin, kind of almost looks like a precursor to USB, but I very much doubt it. We need to clean up the contact points and As I say, you know me, I want to replace the caps. It's marked as RAM as well, so that's interesting. No hidden screws underneath. Be nice if we could retain this warranty seal, but I very much doubt it, but let's try. So a good soak with 99.9% isopropyl. We'll leave that sit for a second, and then we'll see if we can actually get this to peel. This is so fragile, I have no idea how I managed that. Right, let's just pop this complete to the side. It will dry out, I'll need to soak it again before I can put it back on, but it has allowed me to gain access. I'm going to dry it off because I don't want the secondary sticker to start coming off, and it hopefully will dry without staining. We'll see. Right, let's get inside this. And here we are. We can see, wow, that is one heck of an adapter tower. That's impressive. Okay, I do see 3 caps. We've got what looks like a crystal. Nicely, the cable will unplug, giving us a bit more free access. So let me pop that off. And that leaves us with the board. I can see another screw, so let's pop that off. See if we can free out this board. And there we go. It's actually not too bad. It'll need a little bit of a clean, but nothing serious. So let's pop this to the side, and that leaves us with this board. Yeah, that's one heck of an adapter tower. There is some scoring on it, nothing that won't clean up, and 2 capacitors, which are actually, 3 capacitors, and they're marked on the actual board itself. So 1 UF 16 volts, 47 16 volts, and again 1 UF 16 volts. Let's get these replaced and give the contact surfaces a little bit of a clean. And there we are, that's it done. Now obviously the original were 1 UF 16 volts. I didn't have any of those, so I've had to use 1 UF 50 volts, and they're a little bit larger, so I've had to sit them down just to allow the casing to go on so that it sits flat and doesn't wobble. Putting them vertically, they were hitting. Now I've made sure there's nothing conductive here, and there's nothing conductive underneath that one that's going to cause any issues. However, in the process of doing all this, we did find a nice Japanese bug carcass. So yeah, kind of glad whatever it was is now dead. Not a fan, but it allows us to reassemble this, pop it to the side, and then move on to the disk system itself. And there we are, that's the HVC023 control module for it, all done. We've still got the isopropyl just to finish drying. It has not stained, so that's fine, and hopefully when that dries, the original security seal will still be intact. So let's pop this to the side. So next to look at is going to be the drive itself. I am going to be taking the plastics and giving them a good clean, because they are scored and they're a bit grubby, so we'll see what we can get off. And again, 6 screws on the underside and a security seal that I want to try and remove. Yes, it does seem like a lot of effort, but it's my preference to have it as original as possible. So let's crack on. So unscrewing this section reveals their copy protection, and it's the reversed Nintendo logo, but I don't know if you'll see that. Try and get it to focus. See the raised characters, specifically the N and this I, and they're designed to lock in to the top of the disc, and that's your copy protection. If it's not right, it sits proud and the disc won't drop fully. If it's correct, it drops in, makes a good seal, and the theory is the disc is a valid Nintendo disc. So very basic copy protection, but that was done because these things were just so easy to copy. Alright, let's give this fascia a clean, and then we're going to remove this mechanism very carefully because I want to clean all this, clean the head, and re-lubricate all of the moving parts. I've actually just been thinking about this copy protection. If you wanted to bypass it, you could cut all that off and then just sand it flat. Then there would be no need for it. And any of the stock discs, I'm going to guess, should work. And there we go. Hopefully that's the drive all serviced, all good to go. So really, I just need to reassemble it now. And there we go, we're all back together. It has been cleaned, but yeah, some of the scratches are just not going to come out, unfortunately. It does look a lot better. I did use some Simonez jet black plastic cleaner, and it's not too bad. Looks a little bit better than it was. The feet came out lovely, obviously as good as I can do with the security seal, but yeah, it looks good. Now here's hoping it works. So here we are at testing. Now I'm just showing that the FamiCom itself is running. It's doing what it's supposed to, running fine. So let's swap over and let's plug in the disk system. So that's everything now plugged in. I'm using the same power supply because the power supply can output 2 amps. This takes somewhere around about 800 milliamps, and this about the same. So you can use the same power supply, and all I've done is I've created a Y splitter, which one end goes into the FamiCom and the other end obviously into the disk system. So let's power on and see what happens. And we get a white screen, which normally means it's not loaded correctly. So this appears to be working. Please insert a disk. Well, let's find out what happens. Well, it beeped, drive's turning. Making weird noises. I don't know if the camera will pick that up at all. I'm not sure it's doing anything. Certainly a light on in the front. Okay, let's power off and try again. And that drive I don't think is spinning. Nope, the drive is not spinning. Does make me wonder about that new belt. Nope, nothing at all. Okay, we're going to have to pop this open and have a look at the belt again. Right, well, a lot of fighting later, and I've worked out where the issue lies, and it's this pin. This pin is actually quite a loose fit, as you can maybe see, and as the mechanism travels, this piece of steel comes round, gets wider, and jams on the pin. Now, that sits in this hole, and it goes in so far and then sticks. So it sits way too low, and that's why it's catching and jamming. And while I can press fit it in, it means I can't actually get the mechanism back in. You would think there'd be a way to press fit it and then turn it, but nope. Maybe. Let's try press fitting it and then see if we can get this to go in. Right, let's try this again. So power on, and we get the display. Let's drop the disc in. Drive's running. Ah, there we go. This is just strange. Effectively running a NES game off of a floppy. Yeah. Ooh, I've got to continue. Let's just do a start. Ooh, now loading. By the way, these discs are all completely untested. I have no idea if these work or not. So this is all an experiment as well. Well, I can do something. I can run around. It's always good. Let's run down the road. Okay, no idea where I'm going, what I'm doing. Uh-oh, I've got some weirdie has just approached me. Oh, okay. Don't try and jump when you're doing that. I'm going to guess that means I won. Okay, excellent. So disc is out, it's still running. So I'm going to pop that to the side because we've got a couple of others. Let's have a quick look at Dog Square. Is the manufacturer. Don't know if this works. Oh, I hope this is not another quest game like the last one. It would be so much easier if I understood Japanese. Or if it was just a racing game. In fact, you know what? Disc Error 7, that's probably wrong drive or so, I don't know. Right, let me pop this out. Because we've got one here, and it's a rally game. However, this is slightly different. The disc is blue. This is one of the later ones. It's got a door to protect the disc, which is quite nice. But there's a reason for this, which should become apparent in a minute. "3D Hot Rally." Now, entry glass. It is a racing game. Push start. Course 1. Push start. That's set side B. Now the reason I said this is interesting is that symbol, and that symbol tells you everything you need to know. That says 3D on a NES. But that's for another video. So, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next Retro Crazy or Retro Crazy Mini Bite.